here on Valera in Carrick. I want to show you a little bit of where I grew up. I've lived in this neighborhood pretty much all my life. So I want to take you on a little stroll here. You can see the sign up there that says Revilla Avenue. Let's take a little stroll halfway up, or partway up Revilla. Hello, Spartan. Anyway, I've walked this street thousands and thousands of times in my life. And as a little kid, I grew up and played a lot on this very street. We'll cover that street some of the time. But the place I really want to cover right now is this little alleyway you see up here. Doesn't seem to be a street sign on it. And everyone that I've ever known in my whole life has just called it simply the alley. So it comes off of Revilla, and there it is. It's pretty much looked all the same since I've known it. But many a wonderful day was spent playing here. Over here to the left, a little bit overgrown now. My friend Mark Sigriff used to live there, childhood friend. I'm not sure if his parents still live here, but anyway, this was his house. It was always fun to hang out there. We were pretty good friends. Years ago, I found out that he had moved off to California and somehow got involved in some sort of violent altercation with somebody out there. Ended up getting hit on the head, and the resulting injury caused him to pass away. I do miss him. Used to have a lot of fun in that house, a lot of fun in his yard here. Now this part of the alley, probably the main part for me as I grew up, main part for most people. The house you see here, the red brick one to the right, that was where the Winters lived. They had 5 kids: Larry, Mike, Mark, Paul, and Patrick, or as they were better known, Larry, Mike, Mark, Paul, and Poo-Poo. Patrick was the youngest, Poo-Poo. We played a lot in this yard. The little parking lot you see right here, that wasn't there. There were 2 horseshoe pits, approximately one here. I can walk over this way. And then one probably over near where that red car is. That wasn't there either. But we used to play a lot here. Down this part of their front yard, we used to play baseball. We used to play baseball right here. Since they were a sports-minded family, they had all the latest sporting equipment. Catcher's mitts, baseball gloves, hockey sticks. That was the first place I learned to play hockey, in their basement. I had no idea what hockey was, but they taught me how to play. Mike was my best friend out of that group. We used to play right here. Fast pitch. They would put on I would put on the catcher's mitt, I should say, and the little shin guards and the mask, chest protector. And Mike or Larry or Patrick would stand over there about 25 feet away and just wail away, and I learned how to play catcher, play baseball. It was really wonderful. They have all moved on somewhere. Unfortunately, the yard seems to have deteriorated. The back porch looks like, well, let's not get into that. Anyway, the yellow brick house right there, fabled in story and song if you're from this area. The upper right window, there used to be a gentleman who lived up there. His name, at least what we knew him as, was Mr. Pepper. Mr. Pepper was one of those kind of heavy-set guys who talked out of the side of his mouth like this, see? He always wore an old St. Louis Cardinals baseball cap. And I'm sure some of you people who are from this area would back me up. At one point, he aimed a gun out the window at us kids because we were being too noisy. It was supposedly only one that shot salt pellets, but who knows. Today, of course, that wouldn't have been allowed to have been gotten away with. But anyway, right here, these garages, they all belong to the Segrifts. I've lived here pretty much all my life, as I said, and I do not recall a car ever being in any of these garages. Any time I've seen them open, it's been nothing but junk piles in there. Storage wars, if you will. Since the Windsors lived here, this was our main playground. We played baseball here. We played football here. We played hockey here. As I said, they had all the equipment. We would set one net up right around here where this telephone pole is. The mattress, of course, well, wasn't quite there yet. And the other hockey net would go down probably right around where the chain link fence to the right begins. Sure, it was tilted, bumpy, but we ended up playing lots of hockey here, lots of baseball, lots of football. There was, as I said, Larry, Mike, Mark, and Paul played with us. Bobby Wallace, Jim Critchfield, Dave Critchfield, Mark Segrif himself. Whoever was around played. It was fantastic. I learned so much about the sports, so much about people, so much about my friends. It was so much fun. As we venture on a little further down the alleyway, this driveway you see here, not the detour sign portion, but the driveway portion itself, this was not here either. But if we venture up there a little bit, give you a little idea, this was all part of the Segrif's backyard. And this was all wooded over, heavy weeds, heavy grass as well. We used to be young entrepreneurs, me and Mark. We would have what was called the jungle tour. Since this was so overgrown, for example, over here in this portion, this pretty much replicates what the entire yard looked like. It was just unbelievable. We would go ahead and charge neighborhood kids the choice to walk through the backyard and call it a jungle tour. We would go ahead and have cutouts that we made ourselves of bushmen. We would have people hiding behind them throwing little spears, and we would also have to watch out for what we called the hot lava. The Segrifs had a couple of German shepherds at that point who would make the backyard their personal bathroom. We made quite a bit of money. Now, as we get down to this part of the alley, it's hard to tell now over here on the left because this part is so overgrown. But there was a path that when I was very young, probably 10 years old or so, me and Mark would be walking along here. This path, I'm not exactly sure where it started, but it would go off to the left. And in the distance, as you see there, that hill, that path, it was so well worn from us kids, or the kids at that point before me, who would go up over that hill, and that hill would lead to a driveway that was at St. Pius Church, and then they could go up to Concord School to play baseball at that point. But I didn't know about that, and I kept begging my friend Mark to take me up that path because I had no idea what it was, and I was too frightened to go myself. Anyway, again, as we continue down, this to me is part of the alley, though, that mattered the least, because this was the area that had the least amount of children, compatriots my age. There was really nothing going on here. We very rarely played here. Let me let that car go by. Anyway, all of that hillside that you see here is actually all owned by St. Pius Church, which is up over the hill, which you can't see at this point, but at some point I'll go ahead and point that out to you on another video. This little driveway that somebody built, very nice. But again, that wasn't here years ago. But again, there weren't very many kids down here on this side of the alley. These houses you see now, I don't know any of the people. Back then, I didn't know any of the people. And I probably never will know any of the people. One last aspect of this alley that I did want to point out is as we approach the stop sign, you can see the one-way sign, the no left turn sign. and the little blue sign that says all